Sri, your reporting has found that Elon Musk is negotiating to cut down the fees that bankers normally get paid. What do bankers normally get paid, and what does Elon Musk want to pay them?
Look, if you think about it realistically, in some ways, SpaceX is the Walmart of IPOs, right? It has all the pricing power here. It is raising $75 billion, so you shouldn't expect a typical IPO fee. And to your question, what a typical IPO fee is, most IPOs generally tend to raise less than $1 billion, a few $100 million, and the banks would usually charge between 4 to 7%. But even when we talk about the league of mega IPOs, that fee does get reduced drastically, but even in most of those cases, almost all of those cases are usually above 1%. That was the case with Facebook, Uber, Alibaba. You have to go back perhaps to 2020 and 2010 and a very unusual public listing of General Motors back in 2010 when the banks agreed to a 0.75% fee on that IPO, largely because the owner of GM at the time was the United States government. This is very different, but also look at the quantum of money that SpaceX is trying to raise, $75 billion. So even if they charge one of the lowest or offer one of the lowest IPO fees on record, less than 75 bips, less than 0.75%, that would still amount to somewhere in the ballpark of $500 million. And Paul will tell you that is a pretty good payday for banks.
And this is how the roadshow is going to go. It's like, I just want to hear Elon. Give me the vision. Give me the pitch. I don't need the CFO.
But the $20 trillion total addressable market.
I don't need to talk about valuation. None of that's relevant. It's, do you buy Elon's vision? And if I'm Elon, I'm like, what am I paying you that for? Paying you anything for that? So any pushback on the banks, by the banks on this, or are they just looking at the long game and saying, this is Elon Musk and there's a lot of business here?
The latter, yes, yes, and yes. There is. I cannot imagine a scenario where the banks have a lot of position to push back. You already have 23 banks signed up for this. And again, $500 million, you're talking about the lead banks getting probably roughly $100 million a year. That's my guess. And it trickles down from there. But there's anyone has signed up for this because you don't want to miss out on the biggest IPO that matters.
Okay, 23 banks signed up for this. Why does SpaceX need 23 different banks to help it sell this IPO?
Scour every corner of possible investors and make sure you can get to your 1.8, perhaps even the $2.2 trillion valuation. Of course, our reporting shows that the bankers have been dialing it back on what the potential valuation could be for SpaceX. But all of these banks will serve a different purpose. You can see someone like a Citigroup perhaps tap to go after retail investors overseas because of their strength in those markets, or a Bank of America looking at retail investors in the United States, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. These are the banks that will be really strong with the big institutional investors like, say, a BlackRock in the United States, or the Saudi sovereign fund, PIF. These are some of the names that are already out there, but these are the names that these big banks have to arrange and make sure that they're able to line up, because even if it's Elon Musk and even if you believe in this multi-planetary grand vision, $75 billion is $75 billion on the back of the surprise stealth $80 billion raised by Google. There's only so much money going around. So it's kind of extraordinary what's happening in this market. In a span of 10 days, if everything goes right, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, and the others would have raised over $100 billion in new equity. I can't think of a quarter where they would have raised that much, or even a 6 month span where that would have happened.
We haven't even gotten to Anthropic or OpenAI yet.
We haven't. So you got to get ready. When are we going to get the roadshow schedule? Because I want that in my inbox, because I'm the first person you're going to forward it to. When are we going to get that, do you think?
You will be the first person I'll forward it to when I get it and when I have a better sense of it.
Do we have any idea when that's going to be made available? Like, are they going to Boston? Are they going to London? Are they going to do a rubber chicken lunch here in New York? Do we know any of that stuff?
I mean, imminent has to be the best answer here, considering they want to price it next week.
They're playing it very close to the vest.
Or it could also mean that I just don't know.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, the timeline here that we've been reporting, according to our understanding, is pricing next Thursday?
Correct.
Okay. And always the stock then begins trading the following day?
That's the goal. That's the hope. And usually that's what happens. And again, these things can move around a day or two. But when you're talking about 1.8 trillion, when you're talking about colonizing Mars, does the day here or there really matter?
It touches just 30 seconds on the Google. What's the buzz out there in the marketplace about the Google deal?
And nobody expected that. Yeah. What a surprise move. We've all been talking about the $75 billion raise, the largest public listing on record, and out of nowhere, Google comes across. And it's hard to compare the data because of the different tranches that are involved in this $80 billion that Google is raising. But if I had to stick my neck out, I would think that this is the largest equity raise ever. You have Berkshire as the anchor investor, a big chunk that gets priced today, another piece that gets priced in a few weeks.